welcome back to the Life and Listings podcast. I am Jennifer Statz, your host, and today you have the pleasure of having me solo. So, this is our June episode. Today, we are launching our Workflows That Scale playbook. Over summer, we are taking a break from guest episodes, and you are going to have me once a month chatting through some of the things that we see teams, brokerages, and individual agents doing or really need to be doing in their business. So, today we're going to talk about workflows that scale. And I'm going to tell you that you can start out small and build your business from there. Workflows help you scale a business, but they also help you be more efficient. They help you do more and they help you be consistent. So, I'm going to give you a few different tips here today that are all in our June playbook. If you click the link below, you get a free downloadable version of it. I hope it's really helpful in your business. But we're going to take you from just being busy to being efficient. I'm going to tell you some things that I've even done in my business where it doesn't always mean that someone else is doing it. It means that I have a really good workflow. So I'm remaining consistent because we all know how that goes when you get into that visionary mode where maybe you're not as accurate as you want to be. But if you have a really good workflow, you know that everything is done the same every single time. It's going to create clarity, consistency, and most importantly, because we all want to scale our business, I hope, if you are listening into here, it's going to help you become scalable in your business. So, the real cost of not building a workflow. And so, what does a workflow mean to you, right? It can mean a million different things, but I always like to start out small with a real basic checklist of what you want to have, what you want to happen. So, I'm going to use transactions as an example here, right? All of us in real estate probably have done some sort of transaction. So, what are you doing step by step in the process of doing a real estate transaction from listing to close, right? Okay, so you may be getting the listing agreement signed, you're putting a for sale sign up, you are getting disclosures filled out, you're putting it on the MLS. You have these workflows in your brain already, or they are somewhere. So start out small. If it's just you starting out, you can write all of these things down so it's easy to create a scalable workflow. And a scalable workflow to me means something that you can replicate every single time and it's the exact same. Because then I'm going to tell you how to improve those workflows in the future, right? Because that's really the goal is we're probably not doing it the most amazingly from day one. We want to make sure that we can improve on that over time. And then eventually we can delegate some of these tasks as our business grows, some, all, most, whatever that looks like. You cannot delegate something unless it is documented. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say, well, I can call my VA or I can call my assistant there to do that. That is not scalable for you to be calling your VA on a daily basis and having them do one off tasks. The real goal here is that you can just click a button and everything you want done on a transaction, everything you want done on a specific part of your business, whether it's marketing, onboarding, whatever, is done. Okay, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples of how I'm able to take a week off, and by week off, it's like traveling for conferences and onboard multiple employees, multiple clients all at the same time because we have these really clear workflows in place. So I know exactly what's being done. These workflows impact your reputation, your referrals, and your free time. That's why these are so important. Okay. If you are not consistent across all of your transactions or all of your agent onboarding, it can negatively affect your business because this agent, you forgot to give them an email signature. You didn't give them this training. This one you did, right? Because you didn't have a checklist. You were winging it. Then if you don't have these really nice checklists or anything, you're going to get these random calls on a Friday night that says, hey, you didn't get me into this. I don't know how to do that. Da, da, da. Okay. So very clear. We need to make sure we have a real clear checklist in place. Now, ways that I have seen this kind of go awry is a lot in agent onboarding, right? There's a lot of minutia there. There's a lot of questions. So after you have a checklist, you can start creating some sort of information on what needs to be done in each step. And then we're going to talk about roles. Anything you're doing, and I think this is very important, if you're starting with a Google document, if you are starting with a Excel sheet, if you're starting with something like Asana, which is what we use for a lot of our workflows, you want to talk about what the role is, not the person. And if we're an individual agent doing this from day one, you might say, I don't have any roles. Well, you might, and I'll give you some examples in the playbook. Maybe in the future you want this role to be the transaction coordinator. But right now you are the transaction coordinator. That's okay. In the future you might want the marketer to do that role. Right now you're the marketer, and that's fine. But then it starts to be clear when we start to delegate and hire who we need to hire for, right? Because in your listing process there's 87 steps on the marketer. Maybe that's who you need to hire out first. So most important part is we're talking roles, not people. And I like to do this in any of my documentation. We're not talking about email it to Betty Sue. We're saying email this to operations. Fill out this form. Make these workflows scalable so they can grow with you rather than you having to go and edit them constantly. Now, if you're a solo agent, it's fine. You can still have these checklists and you can work off them yourselves. For me, most importantly, when I'm onboarding new clients to Stats, obviously we're not doing real estate transactions anymore, on the actual agent side. But when I'm onboarding people to Stats, I'm still doing all of these tasks, but it keeps me on track so I can see what needs to be done, what have I done, so I'm not backtracking and doing double work. In these workflows or in these checklists that we put in Asana personally as a template, I also give myself templates. There's no typos. I'm not rewriting things. I'm giving exact same level of service to every single client, and it's consistent across the board. So if I go back 6 months from now and I say, well, I know you would have gotten this because it's part of my checklist, right? I know they would have gotten it because it's part of my checklist. Whereas if I didn't have that, I'm going through my email. Did I do that? Did I not do that? Did I provide them this document? I know because I'm creating a very clear onboarding process with a workflow for these people. Then when you are ready to grow, you have a clear role-based system that helps you hire and onboard more efficiently, right? Because they're going to be able to plug in and see exactly what's on their checklist. There's going to be other stuff that comes up too, but a lot of it they can see, right? And that's really, really helpful. And they can see the process that you have now developed because you've been doing it yourself over and over again. So you can start out small and start with like a checklist of 5 things. You can build on that over time. I'm going to talk a little bit about how we can build over time because this is a living, breathing document. Okay. Now, what's going to make a really successful workflow? Very clear start and end points with due dates. If we're talking Asana, there's some parts of the templates that you can say, 7 days before this or 8 days before that. There's a lot of other things like Sisu where you can create a way more intricate process with your workflows, right? Again, I'm still starting with an Excel sheet and then we're scaling from there, but you want to make sure there's real clear due dates of when this needs to be done. Okay. You've got step-by-step tasks with timelines and assigned roles like we talked about before. And then you can use a variety of tools, right? There's a million out there for us realtors. If you ever want any tips, feel free to message me and we can kind of go through what you're using. And then this is going to create accountability within your organization. If you have a clear list of tasks that need to be done and who needs to do them and when, you can reference this and go back and say, well, the marketer was supposed to do this, the transaction coordinator was supposed to do this, or heck, just my own self. I was supposed to do all this and I didn't get to it, right? I can start gauging where the bottleneck is. Okay. Then once you hire someone on, they can test your workflows and make sure it works, right? They can improve on it. And how we can talk about improving it is, okay, we put a transaction all the way through our workflows. We get that feedback from, maybe the agent or the buyer or seller, whoever that's affecting. And they tell us, this part of it really didn't make sense. I didn't have a lot of information right here. Maybe we're not getting reviews. We can go back to our workflow. And the great thing is it's all documented so you can tweak it a little bit, right? Some of the common real estate related workflows that I recommend starting with, anything that you're going to do over and over again, right? We're all going to say, I don't have anything like this. I don't know what you're talking about. You do. I'm telling you, you do. So, new client intake and follow up. What does that look like? Whether it's you've got a new listing or maybe you just have a new buyer lead, what does that look like in the steps that you do that make you successful? Any of us that do listings, you have a workflow, right? You have a process that you either are doing or you want to do. And I'll talk about that in the improvement section of this. Transaction management. If we're doing deals, you have a workflow for it or a checklist that you're following. Weekly seller reports. If you haven't seen our playbook on seller reports, you need to check that out. Very simple process, but you have a template every single week that something goes out to your sellers. Closing gifts, right? What's the process of that? How often do we get to the closing table? We forgot to order that or we're running over to Target right beforehand. Referral requests. It's very common when I'm bringing clients into stats and they go, I don't have any Google reviews. And I'm like, doesn't make any sense. You sell 150 homes a year. How are you not getting reviews? Well, I don't ask for it. Build that into your workflow so it gets done, right? Create that consistency in your business. And here is a really important one that I actually see more often than you would think is that if you are building a team or you're planning on onboarding employees or contractors or whatever, have a hiring and onboarding workflow for your business. And actually, next month playbook is going to be specifically on that. That is going to be the first thing that people see when they're joining your team. And if you do not look like you know what you're doing, you're going to have a hard time bringing people on. Okay. Then, if we're talking about improving, we're talking about reviewing and refining and repeating these workflows over and over again, right? This is a living, breathing document. The real estate market has been changing. A lot of our workflows have been changing, whether it's forms or the way that we communicate with people, right? If we're talking about commission, stuff like that. After you're done, go back and look at what didn't work. Did something not get done? Did it get dropped? Did it not get done how you wanted it to be? Go back and edit that document, okay? You can set time aside to regularly look at this. How am I onboarding clients? Why am I not making deals close? Why are my listings not moving? All of those are workflow related because if you think about it, you can build in extra marketing around that. You can get feedback from your team. So make sure this is a living, breathing document, something that you can edit quite often and you can improve the process. Okay. You go to a conference, you get an idea, you want new tech, you can edit all your workflows. So I hope that this podcast was just giving you a little bit of just nuggets to get you started on scaling your business and creating a more efficient process. I'm going to drop the link to our free playbook down below. If you're watching this video, hello, down below. If you're listening on any podcast app, I'm going to put that down below as well. You can always head over to the Stat Solutions website and sign up for our newsletter. We do update on a monthly basis what playbooks we have going out. They're all free for you. So thank you so much for listening today and have a great day.